Ladies and gentlemen, all rise. Court is back in session. Welcome to another exciting episode of The Devil's Due. I am your host, Carl Duty. With me, as always, is the man who gives Freddy Krueger nightmares, Mr. Drew Celestino.
Welcome to Prime Time. Family-friendly show. All rise, huh?
I'm trying something new.
I like it. I think you should...
You like it?
Yeah, we should keep it.
Okay. All right. If anyone out there didn't like it, too bad.
It's not your show, so that's fine.
Here we are again, sir.
Yes.
Opening statements. How was your week?
Good. I'm unprepared. No, it's fine, man. We had game night is back. What did we end up playing?
We played. What did we play? We played Samurai Sword.
Samurai Sword, new one.
In which hearts are meaningless.
Yeah, I think we missed something with Samurai Sword.
I get the heart mechanic, but I don't know. We're gonna have to play it one couple more times because I liked it. It's like social deduction with deck building. So I think it was cool.
Very vindictive.
Yes. I was the Shogun, and I was unceremoniously assassinated.
Not by me, though.
Well, you weren't helping.
No, I was not.
You were actually hindering. You didn't strike the death blow, but you were certainly in there for a little stabbing with
little stabby stab.
Little stabby.
Sure.
Little stabby, runaway stabby.
Sure.
Run, stab,
sure.
Stab. You could say you were rush and attacking.
I could, but that game's terrible.
Because we're going to send a Green Beret into a Russian base with a knife.
Yeah. That's all he needs. It's a Green Beret.
All right.
He'll get what he needs when he's there.
Okay.
With the help of codes.
Yes. We had a special guest for game night.
We did.
We had Chris Taylor.
You know it. The one and only.
Often
always listener,
sender.
Sometimes question sender. For a good friend of mine. We had Chris was in town because we went to the New Japan ROH Global Wars show at Riverworks on Thursday. So Chris was in town from Rhode Island for that, and the show was awesome. Sold out, 1,600 people,
nice.
Hot crowd, great matches, and very emotional night, actually. Like, we had ringside, which was great, but the talent themselves were pretty... So, like, the Bullet Club were blown away by the response they got.
Awesome.
I mean, not that they should be surprised, because they're the Bullet Club and they're the biggest thing going outside of WWE. Arguably the biggest thing going inside the world of wrestling, period. But the crowd was hot for them. Buffalo, last time ROH came, was not that hot. So ROH has been real spotty in town.
Yeah.
But this time was like hot fire. So they gave a really great speech because they're kind of at the short end of the WWE stick right now with some cease and desists and some shenanigans going on, unfortunately. But they were hot. They were grateful for the reception and vowed to be back. So it was super awesome. Kenny Omega and the Bucks went over in the main event.
Nice.
Against the Kingdom, who were, they're the Kingdom. They're whatever. They're ROH mainstays.
Word for it.
It was fantastic, though. And then I'm not sure if you remember the Dudley Boys from ECW,
sure.
WWE fame, WWF at the time, actually. So Bubba Ray is on the tour, apparently, but he's not wrestling. So he came out to a thunderous ovation because we didn't expect him to be there. And he gave a speech. Basically, he's injured right now.
Okay.
And I guess the injury sounds concussion-related, and he thinks he might be done. So he gave kind of the I might be done speech. But the thing that got people fired up, though, I mean, obviously, thank you, Bubba, and all that business. But as I drove Chris downtown to go to Riverworks, I pointed out the Burt Flickinger Center, and I said, 20 years ago, I saw ECW at this building like 3 times when they were still the hottest thing in wrestling, when they were still punk rock of wrestling, when they were going strong. And sure enough, Bubba Ray's like, I wanted to come to this town for one reason. 20 years ago, I wrestled in the Burt Flickinger Center, and the place went berserk because all of us old guys knew, and it was pretty cool that he called it out, and that was pretty awesome. Nice little moment. So
nice.
We had a lot of fun. Colt Cabana was kind enough to take pictures of everybody after the show for free. That was at ringside still, so thank you, Colt Cabana, for that. Friday, we took Chris up to Niagara Falls, Canada. Haven't been up there since I was about
Like,
19.
Really? It's been that long?
I mean, I've been to Canada, but I haven't gone to Niagara Falls, like Clifton Hill and all that, the falls, since I was like 19. The only reason I went then because I wanted to drink legally, because I couldn't do that here. So it was a whole different experience now.
Did you reenact the Superman 2 scene?
No.
Oh.
No. But it was nice. Day was okay. Marveled at the glory of the Canadian side of the falls, and then kind of looked over at the American side and like, that's sad.
Our side has its unique charms. Our side's not as Vegas-y as their side is. Our side's more wholesome.
Define wholesome.
I can walk 20 minutes from the American side of Niagara Falls and not hit a strip club.
There were no strip clubs in sight from where I was on the Canadian side.
Keyword being in sight.
But there was also no prostitutes or crack dealers. And I wasn't really afraid of walking around down there.
Local flavor aside.
Is that what that is? Okay.
It's ambiance.
Ambiance. Okay. Well, anyway, we had a great time. Came back. And then, Friday, man. Game night. Chris was in tow. So, Samurai Swords, mixed bag.
What else did we play? We played one other thing. We played something, and then we waited.
We played Dungeon Roll.
Oh, yeah, we played Dungeon Roll.
I love Dungeon Roll.
Dungeon Roll is a good time.
It's a great game. Super easy, but always good. Saturday, we had band stuff, as per usual, which went well. Going very well, actually. I'm looking... Cool. It's coming. There's a big workload for coming up with all that, so I'm terrified but excited at the same time.
Yay.
Yeah. I'll say yay now. Then when it's like, we're in the thick of recording and my life is hell.
I'm saying yay because I don't have to do it. I mean, that's...
Anyway, then we had some dinner. Tim and Lauren, we had dinner at their house and we played some more games. But for the life of me, Galaxy Truckers, we played that.
Yeah? What do you think of it?
I've
seen it played. I've never played it.
Okay, so it's when you're actually playing it, it's good.
Yeah.
But it's got this phase set up, right?
Yeah.
So the first phase is setting up your ship.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to put all these little tiles face down. You got to flip all these little tiles over.
Yeah.
And everyone draws from the pool to build their ship.
Yep.
So it's kind of a pain to set that up. So then once all the tiles have been placed on your ships, clear the tiles off, put out the game board with your pieces and stuff.
Yeah.
You play through the cards. You play 3 rounds of cards. You play through each one. But the problem is, between each set of cards, you got to take the board off, put all the little tabs back down, draw them again, and your ship gets bigger each round.
Yeah.
So it's more... too much
monotony to it.
I wouldn't say monotony. It's just too much setup, tear down.
Okay.
It's annoying. Like, I want to put the board up and be done. This game kind of mandates that there's a pool of tiles. Okay, you got all those? Okay, now take the rest of them and throw them away. Now put the board back up. Just kind of, The girls didn't really like it. Once we got into the second round of it, I liked it. But the setup and teardown I did not care for.
Gotcha.
And then the name of the game that Tim busted out after that escapes me. So I'm no help there. Sorry. Sunday night, took my dad out for his birthday for dinner, which was nice. Went to the Delaware on Delaware. It was okay. Okay.
You didn't like it? That's
adequate.
You're going, it's okay. I could tell by your face you didn't like it.
My food was good, not great.
Okay.
Service was okay, not great. And the beer selection was very subpar.
Subpar by your standards or subpar by normal?
By my standards.
Okay, so then fine for your average Joe beer
If all you want is a Blue Light or something, yeah, you're okay. But if they had 2 IPAs on, neither of which were that great. One was a session and one was just a Southern Tier, which is like, that's par for the course. A little pedestrian, as I like to say. And then the one stout that they had kicked, so Jen got a free 3/4 of a glass of stout, and that was it. So, oh well. And then last night, I'll have you know that we watched 2 episodes of Vice Principals. Hilarious. And
That's a great show.
If you haven't watched Eastbound and Down, again, go back and watch Eastbound and Down. You'll love it. I watched part 3 of Ultima Lucha Trace.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, but it was awesome.
I gotta wait for it to come to Netflix.
Yes, you do. It's amazing.
Actually, no, we have some semblance of cable backs. We had to switch over to Spectrum. Maybe.
You have on demand. You might be okay.
It might be on demand.
It is on demand on. Yeah, I think you're good.
So now I just gotta find out if I actually have Spike.
I haven't El Rey. It's on the El Rey network.
Oh, that's right. I probably don't have El Rey. I could check.
I would check if I were you.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's awesome. And then we watched a 3-hour Raw in 30 minutes, and I'm totally fine with that because that's terrible.
Yeah, you're still watching.
Is crushing a 3-hour show in 30 minutes really watching? It's like
it's still watching.
I guess I don't care anymore, especially after Friday's ROH NJPW show. My interest is at an all-time low.
Okay.
WWE land is just like this thing, like, oh yeah, that wrestling.
Yeah.
Wrestling. Air quoting. It's an audio medium, you can't see it, but yeah. That's up. That's what's up. Here I am today. How you doing, guy?
All right, so my week is relatively uneventful. Thursday night was X-Wing night.
This is 3 weeks in a row now with this.
I'm on a cold streak. The Force is not with me. You know what is with me is blank dice results and ships going.
You are not one with the Force. The Force is not with you.
No.
Sorry to hear that.
No, it's bad. I haven't won a game that matters in like a month.
Oh.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll turn around this week.
Yeah. You sound confident.
Woo! So yeah, that was Thursday night. It's a lot of fun playing though. I mean, it's still a fun game. Still enjoy it.
I'm too competitive.
Friday was game night with you guys, so that was fun. Saturday was literally nothing. I literally did nothing all day Saturday.
It's good.
Yeah.
Get your Peter Gibbons on.
Yeah. When the sun starts to go down and I'm still in my pajamas, there's a little feeling of that's what I mean when I said I did nothing.
Oh, one of those.
Yeah. I was like just watching after the boy all day. Julie had some stuff to do. I at this age now, almost 40. When I hit one of those, you're like, ugh.
Wow.
I got more days behind me than I do ahead of me.
Oh God.
We can't have days like this. So
yeah.
Sunday was good. Julie had some more stuff to do, but I was, did some stuff around the house. And Sunday night, I played some games with my friend Adam. Played Memoir 44, which is a one-on-one kind of like World War II. It has some aspects of X-Wing in it, in that there's like line of sight, and the game's like set up on a hexagonal
miniature planes.
No. Miniature, like little miniature army men and tanks and different things like that.
Oh.
It's good. I would play it again, but I wanted it to be much deeper than it actually is.
Okay.
It's very bare bones. There's not a lot of options you have in that game that I think there should be in that game.
Okay.
So,
well, for that you have X-Wing.
Yeah, and then we played a game of X-Wing and Adam won.
Oh man.
What? Like I said, Force is not with me.
No, you're Luke trying to lift the X-Wing here. It's just not happening.
Right now, you know what I am? Right now, I'm Chewie in the Pit of the Falcon during the asteroid chase scene, just howling and banging away on the ships, trying to get something to work.
Fair enough. He did get it to work.
Yeah, well, no, R2 got it to work. Yeah.
You need an R2. What you need.
I had an R2. He blew up too. He didn't do any help for me. So yeah, that was that. Oh, also Sunday. Every year I do my friend Russ does a last man standing pool with football. You know how you pick one team each week. If that team wins, you move on the next week, but you can't pick them again.
Sure.
Yeah. I was going pretty good. It's commonly referred to as a survival pool.
Okay.
Survivor pool sometimes.
Okay.
It was going really good, and then this week, one person picked Washington to win, and everyone else picked Denver to win.
You know what? I didn't see a single solitary second of football this weekend, and I feel great about it.
Spoilers, Washington won, and Denver lost.
Oh, okay.
I did not pick Washington.
Sorry, man.
I'm not a survivor.
No, you're not.
That hurt. Because, I think I was literally, myself personally, I think I was third on New York's depth chart for wide receivers because they have that many injuries. So, yeah.
You're just, everything's coming like Millhouse.
You know
over
what?
here.
In the grand scheme of life, it was not a bad weekend, but I don't know.
Maybe we should just move on.
Yeah, we're going to move on.
Yeah.
My sodium level is elevated. Dear listeners, if you would like to tell us about your week, if you'd like to send us any questions, you can do so at Devils Do Pod on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Devils Do Pod. You can email us at the Devils Do Pod at gmail.com, or you can find all these things available to you on our website, thedevilsdopodcast.com. That being said, we do have a Twitter response and a couple email questions.
All right.
Twitter response we got was from Mr. Kyle Alinger. Kyle says, new Star Wars movie is simply called Solo. Please discuss. But seriously, there seems to be a lack of creativity there. Kyle, we're going to get to that in the news.
Stay tuned.
Yep. Okay, so for the questions, the Tango and Cash.
Yes.
Of the Devils.
Yes.
Do. Mr. J. Gelsomino and Mr. Alan Waiters.
Which one's Tango and which one's Cash?
I'm going to make Alan Waiters Kurt Russell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not what I expected, but okay.
Okay.
Sure.
So, starting with Mr. J. Gelsomino, Drew and Carl, if you could start one small business with one hero and one villain, what would it be? Do you offer insurance and a 401k? What kind of holiday package are we looking at?
Well, if it's a small business, don't get too excited about bennies up front. We'll get to those, but
yeah,
when you're a startup, you got to start small.
Yeah.
I would have to say I'm going to open up a those like fitness studio, like the not a gym exactly, but like the weight loss fitness things where you join for like $200 a month or something, and like you're on like a little team of people and you just get grinded to a pulp.
Yeah.
I'm going to start one of those. She-Hulk.
Okay.
And the Taskmaster.
That makes sense. Okay. I could see that.
I think, yeah, that could work.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go real simple here. Real simple. I'm going to start up a Jamba Juice knockoff.
Go on.
But I'm going to call it Jabba Juice.
Ew.
And I'm going to start it with Jabba the Hutt and C-3PO.
That sounds disgusting.
Well,
where's the juice coming from?
Oh, it's standard,
Jabba juice,
orange juice, and
Oh, okay.
Like I said, knockoff Jamba Juice. Clever title.
Oh, I thought you
celebrity
meant the slime
appearance
off
in the
of
back.
Jabba.
No. We're not doing
that off.
No. Oh, dude.
I know.
We're not doing the slurm here.
Okay.
And C-3PO is just a great host.
Is he though?
Protocol droid, man. That's what he's designed for.
Yeah. I guess.
I'm not asking him to negotiate a treaty here. I'm just simply asking him to make people feel welcome and serve them drinks.
He's going to annoy him to death. You know that.
Then they won't stay long. Customer turnover. See how it works?
They might not come back, though.
Well, we'll have a drive-through.
Will Bib Fortuna be there?
Day Jabba, no bargain.
What about Salacious Crumb?
Oh, you got it. You can't have one without the other.
All right. Okay. I'm just checking.
That's math.
Just checking.
Drew.
Yeah.
What was the highlight of the NJPW show, and why was Minoru Suzuki? And why was it Minoru Suzuki?
That was also pretty awesome. That might, out of all the awesome things that the whole show was great actually, but seeing Minoru Suzuki in the flesh in Buffalo, New York was pretty awesome, especially when he started beating the crap out of a guy right in front of us in the corner.
Okay, yeah, I could see how. Sure.
And impressively, again, the crowd was hot when he does his whole intro with that anime song and the vocal break kicks in and like the crowd's supposed to sing it. They did. Buffalo's a pretty hot town.
Cool.
But good job, Buffalo wrestling fans. I am impressed.
All right.
Takes a lot to get me to say that.
Carl, what is your favorite food to cook? Can you make it for me? Whereas I'm not as culinarily diverse as my co-host here, I would say favorite food to cook. I like grilling.
You are a grill connoisseur.
I do like to grill, so probably grilling a good steak. And sure, if you provide the steak, I will make it.
It doesn't cost me anything.
All right. Now we move on to Mr. Alan Waiters. My headphones are screwing up left and right here. All right. Carl and Drew. Since Defenders is done and Punisher is put on hold for now, it's not put on hold, it's just delayed, Alan.
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys prefer to do a Netflix series like Stranger Things or a Mystery Science Theater style show where you critique bad movies such as G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra?
I'm not watching that again.
Fantastic Four, Trolls 2, They Live, or Leprechaun in the Hood with funny commentary from J.J. Alcimino?
Well, I mean, we don't know what we're going to do.
We've got some time to work with.
We've got time. I don't know if we could, if it times out where Punisher is going to be, let's call it 4 weeks between after Stranger Things.
Yeah.
That could time out well. We could do 2 episodes a show. We could make it happen.
Plus, you are going abroad.
I am. Oh, God, that's right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Things are going to get dicey.
We got some stuff to work out. We're going to have some fun for the next couple months.
I didn't forget, but
yeah.
I didn't take it into the schedule of the show account.
I got you. Carl, will you be picking up the new Flash series depicting Barry Allen versus Wally West? Who do you think is the best Flash and why? I'm not currently picking up the New 52 Flash. I dropped it simply for money reasons. Not that it was bad. I think it was good. It's just trying to streamline the budget. So I probably won't be picking that up. My Flash has always been Barry Allen, just because going back to the original TV show and the current TV show, which is awesome. So yeah, there's that. Drew.
Hi.
You still haven't seen Wonder Woman, and
no.
It's not fair to Jay to shame him into watching Casino when you still didn't see Wonder Woman.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Let me finish. Let me finish. When will you see it? If it's good, will you admit that all DC comic books are not Zack Snyder dumpster fires?
I never said DC comic books are all dumpster fires. The movies.
I'm sure he meant DC comic book movies.
Well,
he said movie. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, one out of whatever is still not good odds. Well, in fairness to me,
okay,
Casino's been out since what? 1995?
Long time.
All right. When I reach that level of not seeing this movie, then you can throw stones at me, sir.
Yeah.
I'll get around to it. I was going to go to the theater. Schedule didn't allow it. Now it's out of the theater. It's going to be on Blu-ray in like a week. So
it's on Blu-ray now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
There you go. I'll figure it out. I'll see it.
And as Alan reminded us, the Spider-Man Homecoming hit disc today.
I will make a point to go get that.
You have to pick that up. So yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Thank
Alan,
you.
thanks. Appreciate it, as always. So that closes the cross-examination, and now we're going to get into the case files. But before we do, folks, we got a treat for you. We have a guest in the courthouse this week. We are joined by friend, Synthaholics podcast co-host, comic book creator, and all-around righteous dude, Mr. Aaron O'Brien. Aaron, welcome to the courthouse.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Well,
Awesome.
we appreciate you being here, sir. You being well-versed in the world of comics and whatnot, we figured we would bring you in on our news section so you can share your opinions, and then we're going to talk to you about your projects you got going on.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Awesome. All right, let's start out with... We got a whole bunch of new trailers. Second week in a row, a bunch of trailers.
Okay.
Let's just go in order of where they dropped. Stranger Things 2.
So this is not going to be the order of excitement level. So
No.
Okay.
No. If we flip the first and the second movie, because I think you're most excited about
Yeah. Correction.
Yeah.
Correction. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
So, Stranger Things 2 hit. They are clearly ratcheting up this season. Big monster in the sky.
Big Cthulhu monster.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what did you guys think?
It looks interesting to me. I love the first season, so I'm in for whatever they have because I think they nailed that series perfectly.
Yeah.
I thought the trailer looked pretty incredible, actually. Like you said, they're ratcheting things up. So it's not it's more Stranger Things, but the stakes look way bigger and higher. So
Yes.
like they're getting that big sequel budget. It looks like.
But you couldn't do what they did before. I mean, I guess you could, but it was like a small town. You had this small little like thing going on.
Yeah.
You couldn't go back to that.
They hadn't earned it yet.
Yeah. You couldn't do the big apocalyptic thing or anything.
Not the first time around. But.
No, that'd be too much.
Sure.
It's like this was my problem always with the Superman movie, the first one with Cavill or Carvel.
Man of Steel?
Man of Steel, right? You can't go against General Zod right off the bat.
Yeah,
that's too big.
It's too big.
It's too big.
Let's get a little small story.
You got to do the small story and then work up to the big story.
Sure,
That's what you got to do.
So, can I call shenanigans about one thing in the trailer?
Debatable. What is it?
I think it's safe to say that we are all children of that time
Sure.
era, the
Absolutely.
three of us.
Yeah.
I'm a little younger than you guys, but that, yeah.
But not by like a decade.
No, God, no.
Yeah.
I'm born and bred 80s, man.
As Drew will tell anyone, as I will freely admit, I was a spoiled, rotten little kid. I
Yes,
had
you were.
every toy imaginable as a child. I did not, nor did I know anyone with a movie-accurate Ghostbusters jumpsuit and proton pack.
Well, the proton packs are homemade pastiche, but the jumpsuits are very,
Weren't the jumpsuits just like a service suit, but gray?
yeah, but
I mean, obviously put the patches.
I was a kid. I didn't have access to that.
Well,
Especially, at least in my size. I mean,
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's
Did
true,
they make
too.
those in kid sizes back then?
no.
Yeah.
Maybe in China. Well, I mean, obviously certain things are cinematic.
Yeah.
To get into stuff.
Yeah, it's a shorthand, Carl.
yeah.
We'll,
Other than that,
we'll forgive it.
Other than that, looks incredible. Rumor has it this show's going to run for 4 seasons.
Really?
Okay.
Wow.
So,
I did not hear this.
yeah. I mean, granted, it's not like official, and where I saw it is not. It's one of those websites you've never seen before, so who knows? But they do just go for 4 seasons. It's probably safe to say they've got their story plotted out.
I would hope, lest we get into a Lost scenario.
Yeah.
I was going to say J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to end anything.
And
Good thing he's in charge of the next Star Wars movie.
Don't get me started because he already did wonderful things for Star Trek. So
Oh, yeah.
what? Into Darkness was a good Star
Don't-
Wars movie.
yeah, okay,
Half of it, maybe.
yeah. The first half,
The first
and then the
half?
last
No,
half was
I
garbage.
said it was a good Star Wars movie.
you're right. Yeah, it's true.
Oh. I see what you did
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So yeah, but the trailer looks fantastic. Can't wait to see where they go with the story.
I want more of the soundtrack, too.
Yes,
I need my synthwave.
11's back. She's got curly hair now.
It's weird. It's a little
It's-
weird.
Yeah, well,
it feels weird.
A little off-putting. You're like, okay, sure, okay.
The question is,
She
now that she's a known quantity, could they convince her to shave her head again? And it's
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
like,
she kind of
no.
looks like the Edith Bunker look or something like that. It's not really working for me. I'm not sure.
Oh, Archie. Archie, you got any angles, Archie?
Shut up, Edith.
Okay, so moving on from Stranger Things, but surprisingly enough, staying in the same genre, the trailer for New Mutants dropped this week. Now we all knew they were doing a New Mutants movie, and
Yeah.
we were just kind of like, okay,
Sure.
But the trailer dropped, and it looks like straight up suspense thriller / horror film.
It looks like what they pass off as a suspense thriller horror film in these.
Well, if you're going
times.
to put in a genre, but what'd you think? What were it?
It's a surprise choice. I didn't see that coming. Then again, in hindsight, it's kind of like, well, if your core franchise is about young teens in a school and your New Mutants team is about young teens in a school,
Right.
what's the point? So in hindsight, it's like, okay, well, they're going to do something different.
I always wondered what the point of New Mutants were anyways. I mean,
Well, by then, the X Factor had grown up and you had a new team of X-Men.
yeah, but You're like, Cannonball. What a weird cipher. I mean,
I hear you.
You know, strange things. Warlock was probably the best of all of them. But
he certainly looked cool.
He was fun. Yeah.
They got. I think this one is.
Will he be in this show?
I don't
Cannonballs.
A
in
movie?
It.
Cannonballs in
it. Wolfsbane.
Okay.
Magic.
I didn't see Wolfsbane in the trailer, but okay.
Moonstar.
Okay.
Dr. Cecilia Reyes, who was the white doctor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's probably didn't catch more for that. But
I don't have much of a reaction. I don't know. Like, I guess you got to do something different, but I mean, when you think X-Men, do you think like we're gonna make a horror movie? Like, what?
I think Fox looked at it and went, okay, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, more or less panned critically.
Yeah.
Days of Future Past was pretty well received. Reasonably well received.
Okay.
Better than Apocalypse.
Yeah, Apocalypse didn't do well.
Deadpool Logan, much more well received both by audiences and critics because they were doing something different. Deadpool was like meta comedy and Logan was essentially a road trip western. So they're kind of getting into the frame of mind where, okay, we don't necessarily have to do a straight up air quotes superhero flick.
Yeah.
We can go into different areas. And I'm okay with that. Because as much as you and I weren't as over the moon about Logan that everyone else was, we still liked it.
I did like it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea to kind of play with genre within genre.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just more surprised than anything. I'm not necessarily excited or anything. It looked like a horror movie trailer. So lots of quiet, the big Bram squeal jump scare thing. And
who's the big bad for this one?
Don't know.
I mean,
although,
who would be the big bad? It's magical.
Well, you've got Ilyana Rasputin in it.
Okay.
So if she's still learning to use her powers and whatnot, she can open a gate to hell and forget to close it. Whoops.
My
Sorry.
Bad. Yeah. So, but I mean, it got me somewhat interested in the movie. I had no interest in whatsoever. So, Aaron, you?
I never really got into the New Mutants. My issue is back in the 90s when the X-Men just got a glut. I turned off.
Yeah.
I was into like the 80s X-Men and
Chris Claremont.
Yeah, and all that stuff. And it was cool. It was cool. And then like early 90s was pretty good. And then all of a sudden just got too much.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's gotten, I think, better since then. I don't keep up with the title now, but there were too many X books.
Oh yeah.
And New Mutants was just like such low on my, I just was not interested. And this comes out, and I'm like, did anybody ask for this movie?
No, but you're going to get it because they want to keep those X-Men rights forever.
Yeah. Well, but they can because they can just keep on doing X-Men movies.
Yeah, I'm okay with them keeping the X-Men rights because I think if X-Men reverted back to Marvel, it'd be such a mess to try and fit.
Well, somebody put out to me a long time ago and says, obviously they butcher Fantastic Four, but they have the Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Marvel with the Disney side. You're just getting more movies because they're all looking to now whether they're true to it or not. That's a totally different story, but
Well. It's kind of smart, though, on Fox's part to diversify it because, yes, we're going to keep getting X-Men movies, but would you almost say they're hedging a little bit? Because what if, like we said, Apocalypse didn't do gangbusters, right? It was just kind of whatever.
Yeah, it was...
Okay, well...
It made enough money for them to make another X-Men movie.
So what if Dark Phoenix, is that the next one?
Yes.
Yeah, whatever. They're going to do that justice. What if that kind of bombs too? Like, they might have to put the X-Men to bed for a little while, but now they've got these other they got Deadpool and X-Force running around, and they got this New Mutants thing happening. They can kind of,
I'd be okay if they wanted to put X-Men to bed for a little while. Like, frankly, I think the X-Men are way past their bedtime cinematically.
Yeah,
and they're getting a little cranky and stomping their feet around. So
my issue is more of just all these movies. Why do they keep on going away from the source material and say we got a better idea.
Hollywood.
It's so retarded, and you're just like, please stop. It's like we loved it for a reason, and there is a reason why it's great.
Oh yeah.
Now maybe you can streamline it because some of those, like the Dark Phoenix saga goes, I don't know how many issues. It was like 10 issues or more. Where she kept on getting worse and worse and worse.
Well, it built up to the actual saga.
And I don't see them planet hopping in this one.
No, they're not going to go there.
With the Shi'ara and...
I think you just see, because Fox and the X-Men movies are an example of how superhero films were made prior to 2008. Mm-hmm. Then Marvel comes along, forms their own studio, does Iron Man, sticks to the source material, like you said, streamlines it a little bit, modernizes it a little bit.
Sure.
They kept the core intact, though.
And you see how it works. So, okay, I mean, these are not characters that are near and dear to my heart, so if you're going to tweak them and whatnot a little bit, like, if you change one little thing about Spider-Man, I'm going to freak out. If you change,
you
6 little things about Wolfman, I'm going to be like, okay, sure.
Well, the biggest, and it's not, it's the Fantastic Four movies have just been abysmal. Oh. And I don't understand how they can keep screwing that up. And everyone just goes, why? Why do you do this? Why? There's no point.
Because they have it, and they're gonna try, and they're gonna keep trying to make money on it. But me and Carl have discussed this a bit, and I think Fox is at the point where the audience is certainly at a point where we want the Fantastic Four movie that we deserve.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So Fox can say that they're going to make a Fantastic Four movie, but that doesn't mean we want their Fantastic Four movie. So I think they might be at a point now where they realize we can't make one. The bridge is torched. The only way this gets any sort of anticipation is if we give it back. Just the act of giving it back is going to get the audience on board like that.
Right.
Just give me a movie with Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Girl, Thing, and Herbie, and we'll be all good.
With Herbie?
Sure. Don't you remember the old
I know,
cartoon?
I remember Herbie, but why not at the Human Torch?
Well, that was the joke.
I know, right, yeah.
Well, we've also theorized, and it's been kind of bandied about online a lot. There's all these X-Men TV shows that are happening right now. Mm-hmm. For years, that's been a big no-no with Marvel and Fox. Now all of a sudden we're getting 2 and 3 of them.
Right, okay.
What happened? Was there a little deal behind the scenes that we don't know about where Marvel said, okay, I'll tell you what, we'll let you do those TV shows. Mm-hmm. Give us something back.
Okay.
So what did they get back?
Oh, right. So maybe they got some rights to put on some of their stuff.
So here I am crossing fingers, and Marvel said, you can do all the X-Men shows you want. Give us the Fantastic Four back, and we're square.
Yeah,
that's our hope.
Yeah.
And if not, there's no justice like angry mob justice.
Which we'll get to later on in the show, ironically enough. But before we do, let's leave.
This show does not endorse angry mob justice unless it gets results, which it will.
It will. Right.
Let's leave the world of meh and enter the world of yes.
I don't think you're doing it justice, sir.
Well, I mean, let's just say a new Black Panther trailer arrived. And I think you said it best. Just when you think you've seen everything that Marvel can show you, here's Wakanda.
Honestly, we all kind of are hip to the Marvel formula. And even though they still managed to throw out some stuff to us and surprises, after Age of Ultron, we were all kind of it was good, but it wasn't exactly what
I liked it.
It was good, but it wasn't what we really hoped for.
You wanted it to be bigger or something more at the... I don't know. There were holes in that movie.
There were some...
I thought they could have done a little bit better.
Yeah. The problem is nowadays with the age of movies we're living in, getting bigger always isn't enough.
Oh, right. But sometimes bigger is not even better either.
Yeah.
So,
but it's still so we had right after we had the little kind of post Avengers Age of Ultron, it was good, but Marvel might be showing the kinks in the armor. Then we get Civil War. It's Spider-Man, and we all lose our minds because So, and I thought, okay, so they still got it, but we still kind of know that the formula. Then this comes out, this Black Panther trailer. That's my head exploding.
Yeah.
What was that? Besides incredible looking. That is
Yeah.
amazing. I was literally like jaw agape watching that trailer. It looks ridiculous in all the best ways.
Is it just me, or are the publicly lesser known Marvel characters the ones that are getting the best films?
I think so, because in some ways you can just have fun with it and not have the expectations. Like, notice they have not done another Hulk movie.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
well, that's
gonna
because
be- there's rights involved.
issues with Universal.
but still, it's like, you know, there's, I don't know, whatever, but it's just one of those things that you're like, I think there's such high expectations on some of the bigger characters. If you can go to a Black Panther, you know, yes, the fan base knows it, but like the
core
general public
Marvel
doesn't know it.
yeah, or not well enough to say anything about it. So I think they have a little more freedom.
Guardians, for example.
Oh, Guardians,
Yeah.
perfect example.
Blew up like
who would have thought
bananas.
the Guardians would have been? Because that was such the comic was
Very niche.
Yeah, like I read some of this again. It was the Annihilation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Annihilation, the event.
The event was great. I loved all that stuff. So that was awesome. I mean, the older Guardians was a little.
Yeah, the 90s one. And
Yeah, I remember when they announced Guardians, a bunch of us were standing around a shop, and
You're just like,
we were
why?
just like,
It's such a
what?
why them and not
yeah.
all these other characters that we all love?
And then Guardians came out, we're like, okay, Marvel, you have carte blanche.
Yeah,
do whatever you like.
Here's my wallet. Just take what you want.
Yep.
It's fine. Yeah, Black Panther, dude, is like a whole different beast than everything we've seen from.
Yeah.
It looks so cool in every way. It looks it just looks cool. Wakanda looks cool. The costumes are cool.
Yep.
The setting is cool. The characters look cool. The cast looks cool. It's just like I was floored by that trailer. My hype level is very high.
Yes. Aaron, what were your thoughts on the trailer?
Pretty much the same thing. I just all the characters and the like the African looking motif going on is just awesome.
It's so unique.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't.
You've never seen anything like that
No,
before.
I don't think we're ever going to see anything like this, you know, for a long time. I mean, obviously, if they make another Black Panther movie, we'll
Sure.
see it, but you have this like kind of like high tech society that's hidden, but they still have the cultural things, you know, of the African people, of different, you know, sections of Africa. It looks fantastic, and I just think it's going to be wonderful, and I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun with this character, because I don't think a lot of people know about this character.
They're about to.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see a huge resurgence of, or not resurgence, but we're just going to see a lot of people wearing Black Panther T-shirts and stuff like that. So
That's going to be so cool.
Yeah.
To see that.
It's super exciting, man. I said on Facebook today, like I'm amped up for it. It looks so unique, and like Marvel is going to give you this visionary. I'll call it visionary because again, I've never seen anything like it before. This diverse, visionary thing, and like you're never going to get that at Warner Brothers in DC. It's not going to happen.
At
Paradise Island,
I'm so unconvinced that you're ever going to get something like this out of
the
them.
island of Lesbos.
I'll never say never. I will say extremely unlikely.
Yeah.
that you would get this. It would take a major shakeup of decision makers and a major reboot from Warner Bros. To get this level of creativity from the DC brand. And I just, like I said, I'll never say never, but
it just looks so
Extremely
unlike
unlike.
anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's rare these days where we've seen everything.
yeah.
And
It's
somehow
good to be
it
surprised.
looks fresh and new and really just, like I said, super cool. It just
Yeah.
looks super cool.
So, yeah.
I'm excited.
That
Can't wait for
is
that.
their May film. This-
Out of all the things I was peering over on the trailer, the release date kind of flew over my head. I have no idea.
I don't think did they say? I don't remember, but that it was one of those things where you see it too. You're just you wonder where they're going to take the story, because was that who's the leaper? I forgot his name.
Batroc.
Was that him?
Yeah.
Because I was pretty sure
George
that was
St. Pierre.
him. Yeah. Because so I thought that was him. So obviously he's a villain, but who else do they have as the villain for
Well,
that?
they've got.
Oh, I mean in Black Panther?
Yeah.
You're thinking of Claw.
Oh, is it Claw? Okay.
Yeah, Claw.
That makes
Ulysses
sense.
Claw.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he was in.
Minus an arm since Age of Ultron.
Yeah, he was in Age of Ultron.
But he does have the Sonic Blaster hand now.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Andy Serkis finally getting to play a role that doesn't require him to do motion capture. Which,
No, he's on screen here.
yeah, which I'm excited about because dude's a really good actor and he's finally getting shot. Then we've got Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger.
Yep. As Alan says, he's getting some of that Fantastic Four stink off of him, but I think Creed kind of did
Yeah,
that, did it
Creed,
not?
Creed definitely did that. So it says here on IMDb it's expected February 16th of 2018. So I'm guessing it's probably going to be their May film then, because they always have first weekend of May you get a Marvel film. And then lately they've been doing November, so it's probably going to be their May film. Yeah, Michael B. Jordan,
Sir, February 9th in the UK. So February...
UK always gets stuff early.
Well, then I would say March here.
Oh, well, that'd be a
Because
surprise.
Thor's out a month early out over there already.
Yeah. Yeah, Creed definitely washed Michael B. Jordan clean of the sins of Fantastic Four. Oh, I still have PTSD from seeing that. I had to see that in theaters.
I wouldn't even see it.
It was so bad. It was the worst comic book film ever made.
I don't know. The worst?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. I will
Superman
watch.
5 is pretty bad.
Superman 5 is Braveheart compared to
Wait,
this.
talking about 4?
4, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nuclear
it's
Man?
Braveheart compared to this. You have no idea.
Wow.
Like,
Okay.
telling you, man.
Worse than Batman versus Superman?
Batman vs. Superman, it wasn't a good movie, but at least you can watch it and just enjoy the visual effects of,
The spectacle of it all?
yeah, just fighting and stuff like
I
that.
guess.
The story was like, but, whatever. There's some cool parts to it.
But yeah,
You can't take away that they don't look good. I mean, they're fun to watch.
They look...
They just suck. There's no heart to it.
It looks great, but it sucks.
Well, that's what we're at the point where you can make anything really if you have enough money, make it look good. But if it doesn't have a good story and heart behind it, there's nothing there. It's no soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic Four has no soul, no heart,
it's
no
been
eyes,
missing.
no skin.
Walking skeleton.
Yeah.
It's a husk.
Shambling through the graveyard.
If you hate someone, you might think twice before showing them this, but if you properly want to torture them. Our government has stopped waterboarding prisoners. They just show them this now.
Put this out there. Would I rather watch G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra or Fantastic Four?
It's tough to say because you haven't seen Fantastic Four.
No.
So it's like trying to describe to you what hell is like.
But see,
When you
I mean,
haven't
are you
been
a
there.
huge G.I. Joe
Oh,
fan?
yes.
Yes.
Like,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Monstrous fan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Fantastic Four and that probably holds a place in your heart.
Indeed.
So
Rise of Cobra almost killed me.
I've never seen any of the G.I. Joe. They just look so bad, so I just never bothered.
Rise of Cobra almost...
Trust that instinct.
Yeah, it almost killed me.
And I mean, like, I've seen all the Transformer movies, but that's because my son's likes Transformers. And he likes schlock because he's 9 years old.
Yeah.
So I'll just go, whatever, just turn my brain off.
As much as Drew loves classic G.I. Joe, that's how much I love classic Transformers.
Yeah.
I hate those
Well,
films.
to his credit, he watches more of the G1 stuff, the cartoon,
That's good.
and
That's
the movie
good.
and stuff like that. So
I
he's
love G1 movies.
Yeah, he loves all that stuff. But of course, he likes because it's big robots,
Yeah.
destroying things. Just
Okay, let's wash some of that stink off. Last news item, which actually just dropped today. Ron Howard put out the title of the as of yet unnamed Han Solo film. It is named now. It's simply called Solo, a Star Wars story. The poster will simply be a red cup.
I've seen those jokes. I hope no one confuses it for the 1996 Mario Van Peebles movie. Also called
Yo, that's
Solo.
right. That's a
right.
good point. That's a good point. No,
Or
wait.
the third-rate Punisher Marvel character, Solo.
Wow, that's deep even for me.
While he lives, terror dies.
I'm not even aware of this, but I've heard this movie's just been like a huge disaster. Like people have been fired and people have been all sorts of I don't know how you can make this movie that messed up. I mean,
Here's what we've kind of the philosophy we've kind of come to on the show is that Star Wars films, Marvel films, we enjoy them. They're great. They're a lot of fun. They are not films that reflect directorial vision.
Right.
These are films that are largely produced by their parent companies, with, again, the caveat, Guardians of the Galaxy. That's straight up James Gunn through and through. So, being that when Solo started shooting, it was under Lord Miller, the guys who had done the Lego Movie and whatnot, and all the reports said that they were just making a straight up comedy, which I want my Star Wars to have humorous moments in it. I don't want Star Wars to have I don't want Star Wars to be a comedy.
At least not with these characters.
Yeah. But there's also a funny rumor going on about this film. We'll get to that in a moment. But let's talk about the title. It just feels underwhowing.
When I heard it, I was just like, well,
I'm sure the film's going to be good.
I'm not so sure of that.
It's Ron Howard. It's Ron Howard.
You got
Cocoon Returns.
Disney and Ron Howard. They're both, and Ron Howard, he rarely messes it up.
This is true, but I mean, how much did he get to remake the movie? Or
I heard he reshot a shitload, a lot.
He's got directorial.
Is he getting the credit for is his name on the movie?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I mean, let's just say that my expectations are very tempered for this.
Yeah. Again, we'll have to wait till we see a trailer or something. I was kind of hoping they'd just call it something like Scoundrels.
That would be good.
Because you got Han Solo and Lando Calrissian in it.
The Kessel Run or something that. And you
guys could have just named this way better.
Sure.
The Kessel Run.
Sure.
We can... The stuff we've come up with on this show...
Yeah,
Disney should be.
Yeah, we've had some. Had some real.
Can I bring something up about Disney? And I've said this before publicly, but it's like I do worry with Marvel and Star Wars owned by Disney. Don't you worry that these precious franchises are getting kind of homogenized to a point where we might get not the voices we want to hear? Sometimes,
kind of.
Sometimes, things get so just bland and there's nothing really. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy obviously was one that came out of left field. We had no idea that was going to happen. But I don't know. Do you ever think about that? I really think about that a lot.
I definitely have that concern. Marvel seems to be affected a little less. Star Wars, I worry about, and I don't know why that is. But I feel like the uniqueness of Star Wars is kind of lost. And I say that as someone who enjoyed The Force Awakens. It put the franchise back on the right track.
Right.
But Rogue One, despite my initial I only saw it once, and I don't want to see it again because I'm scared I'm gonna tear it apart. And I don't want to do that. But I'm not going to deny that it's really based it in nostalgia and in stuff I recognize, albeit in a new context that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
But it's still relying on the old familiar imagery. One of my biggest fears about Last Jedi, despite the trailer looking great, is are they just going to redo Empire? And if they're just going to redo Empire, then
I said that a show or two ago. I remember hearing that, but because that's the same.
That's what
thing.
I mean. I'm scared that it's just
rehash.
Right? They've basically decided. You know what? We're not interested in telling you anything. We're not interested in doing anything really new, groundish with or having a message even that's new. We're just going to rely on the old Star Wars tropes, and we're going to say, you know what? It's Star Wars. This is what Star Wars has always been about, as if it can't be about anything new.
Right?
Does it have anything new to say? And I don't know if it will.
Well, with me for Star Wars, and I know you're a gigantic Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
I did enjoy The Force Awakens for a lot of things. I think J.J. Abrams has one unique talent, and it is to make you love the characters immediately.
Absolutely.
Everything about his character, from when he does Lost and when he did, I'm thinking Stranger Things, the other show that was like X-Files. It'll come to me later. But and then was it the Spielberg one that he did?
Super 8.
Super 8. All those characters were fantastic. Every one of them, just I like that. I like that character. I want to know that character. And then he doesn't know how to end anything.
Right. He's good at setting up, but
yeah. So they were really good for having him there. I don't know how it's going to be for this next one, but with Rogue One, visually beautiful movie, awesome. I didn't care anything for the characters. There was nothing about me go like, I want that character to live. And when they died, I was sad for the robot.
Yeah.
I was like, the robot died. I liked him. Bring him back. That was my thing. I mean, everyone else was like, she died.
Cannon fodder.
Yeah, whatever. You know, but I have high hopes. I hope they do great.
Absolutely.
For me, I don't so much have that fear of homogenization because we've seen, obviously, that they know what they're doing with Marvel. Marvel is kind of setting the curve when it comes to superhero films and have been doing so since 2008. Like I've said, even the weakest Marvel film is better than 90% of the superhero films that came out prior to 2008.
Right.
With Star Wars, I have loved Star Wars my entire life. And so far, I don't have any concerns over what Disney is doing. Because with Force Awakens, Kathleen Kennedy, who has been there from the beginning with Star Wars and has pretty much had a finger in pretty much everything we loved growing up. She knows what Star Wars should be like. And her and JJ were smart enough to know that with Force Awakens, they needed to remind people why they love Star Wars. So they made a film that was, in a lot of ways, beat for beat the original Star Wars film. But they had sprinkled some new stuff in there enough to get us to be excited again and whatnot. And yes, there was a lot of, to Drew's points, there was a lot of nostalgic tips in Force Awakens. Rogue One, for me, is like my third favorite Star Wars film because it was the first film that focused on war. It was grittier than Star Wars had ever been. It was, they showed you a story aside from the Skywalker saga that we knew there was a story there. We didn't know we wanted necessarily that story until they gave us that story. As far as to Drew's points of the iconography and things, like all the iconic stuff that they showed, storytelling makes sense that they would show that because it's military.
Yeah.
You know, they have the X-Wing is like for us this iconic ship, but it's also a military ship. So these things are produced en masse and used en masse. A lot of the characters that were there that were in previous films, Governor Tarkin, the pilots that showed up, it makes sense for them to be there. We know Governor Tarkin Grand Moff Tarkin was the commander of the Death Star, so it makes sense that at some point he takes over command of the Death Star. A battle that big, it makes sense for Gold Leader and Red Leader to be there because those are the premier squadrons of the Rebel Alliance. So yes, there is that. They are putting that there because, yes, we as the classic fans will kind of mark out over it, but it also makes sense for it to be there. And so I I understand your point, Aaron, of what you were saying about the characters. Like, we didn't have a chance to really get to like them. Yes, JJ is very talented in that aspect. He's very good at reminding you why you love the thing you loved because I'm not sure where you fall on it, but I really enjoyed his first foray into Star Trek.
I thought he did a good job of that.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good for the most part.
And again, it was reminding people why they like those characters.
Yeah.
And so I'm not so much concerned about Star Wars until it's like with Marvel. I'm not concerned about Marvel until you give me a reason to be concerned. Now, I had some gripes with Spider-Man, but they weren't major gripes, and it's because of my all-time favorite character that I've grown up loving. So it's like you change one little thing about it. It's like when, they made a new G.I. Joe movie that was very faithful to the source material, but there were little nitpicky things here and there. You'd probably feel the same way about it. Still love the movie, still enjoy it, but there was the little nitpicky things about it. But Disney has not given me any reason to think that they don't know how to do Marvel films or Star Wars films. So they
clearly know what they're doing, but I think the bigger point that we were trying to make was, do we worry about them becoming bland and boring.
Are they just going to hash out, just keep slinging out?
When
Star
are we going to
Wars
get
movies?
bored? When is fatigue going to set
Well,
in?
the same thing with Marvel. I mean, they're doing great now, but like in another 5 years, will they still be great? That's what you got to start worrying about.
It's what I've always
Yeah.
said. Like, I think after they finish up the Infinity stuff they're doing
Where
over
does
the
it
next
go
two
from
Avenger
there?
films,
You know?
put it on the shelf
Yeah.
for a little while.
Yeah.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
I
It is
agree.
Disney, and they do like to do that with their animated movies. Like they put them,
Yeah.
they take them out of circulation for
Yeah.
years, and they put them back out.
Well,
like it's
no,
all-
but now their new thing is we're not going to put out the animated film. We're just going to make a live action version of the animated
Yeah,
film. and make
true.
money on that way. So, but I think safe to say we're all going to go see the Han Solo film.
Of course.
yeah,
of
yeah.
course. And I want it to be great.
Yeah,
I want it to
we
be
want it to
great.
be good. The
I love
title
Han
is
Solo.
underwhelming.
it's a title
It's a title. Sure. Should have just called it Scoundrels.
or something.
I like Kessel Run. That was a good one.
Nerf herders.
Lando and his Colt 45. Just call it that. All right, so that brings our news to close for this week. Now, Aaron,
Yeah.
you are here. Let's talk to you about you. Let's talk to you about what you going on, sir.
What do I have going
You've
on?
got you are multi-talented. You've always got interesting projects going on. So what are you coming to us with this week?
I have currently putting out a Kickstarter for my graphic novel, soon-to-be graphic novel, Return to Snakeland. It's based here in the story is based off urban legend here in the Buffalo area.
Okay.
We've changed a lot of the names and places just because we don't want people to know some of the people that have actually been affected by these stories. This is written not by myself, but it's written by my friend Jason Gussman, and he was writing this in a blog, and I just really loved his writing, so I went to start. I did some fan art. I drew 3 pages of comic, and I just sent it to him. I was like, hey, really like this stuff. I hope you like my fan art. And he was like, oh, maybe you could do more, So I did a chapter, and I did more and more and more. So I've done 2 books, and I've got about an extra 20-some pages more already illustrated. And the books thing, because we've been doing it so indie for a while, it's getting to a point where it's too expensive to just put out a book by itself. So it's better we figured just to put out like a graphic novel collection. So it's going to be, I think, around 80 pages, maybe just shy of that. And it's basically telling his story of that time period of the 80s, based around a literal place called Snakeland, where kids went to party. And they would do drugs and drink, and unfortunately, people died there as well. And the effects of that, of my friend and writer Jason Gussman, and how that affected him and the community around him as well. So, but that's the gist of the story itself. And it's like I said, it's all based on reality, and there's a lot of different ins and outs on that story too. So, which we get into.
When's the Kickstarter going live, or is it live?
It is live. Yeah, we've been live. It ends October 31st. We have actually just we met our goal.
Oh, nice.
So we're working on doing stretch goals.
Killer.
Excellent.
So I did not expect it was going to meet goal that fast.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah. So we've got obviously the tiers of, you can get the actual graphic novel. We have T-shirts. We have stickers, and we're going to have in posters, but we're going to come up with some more stuff for our stretch goals as well. So
Cool.
yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a unique story that it's not a typical comic. It doesn't have a linear time. It's more of like reading somebody's diary and their reflections back at a time back in the 80s, and what it was like growing up in that time period.
Nice.
So
Cool.
Definitely get in with that because we're all, like I mentioned, from
Born
that
and
time
bred.
period. So
Is this your first Kickstarter experience?
this is my first. Yeah, I've never done Kickstarter before, so this is it's interesting. I there's a lot I didn't know about, but it's pretty straightforward. If it's not funded, it doesn't go through, kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
So,
Yeah.
but it's like you have to promote it a lot, and you have to be there to keep on getting people to
reminding people
Totally.
keep your eyes on it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I was very surprised that we funded it within the 2 weeks that's been up. So,
Wow.
I was like,
It's awesome.
That's great.
yeah.
So when's the product expected to ship?
I believe everything has to be done by January, so we start sending out, all our, bonus gifts and the book itself.
Nice.
So, probably by December, January, we'll have the book completed. So,
Awesome.
yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's my first graphic novel, so I've done tons of comic book work before, but this is my first graphic that I've illustrated everything. So,
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
If you have some preview pages, send them to us, and we'll definitely get them up on our sites and whatnot. And send us a link for the Kickstarter, so if people want to get in on the stretch goals, we can make that available to them as well.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty fun. So, so that's what I'm doing. Obviously, you mentioned I do the Synthaholics podcast as well.
Yes.
So
give us the heads up on that. What is Synthaholics about?
we're a bunch of drunks. We usually have a couple drinks and we review any given Star Trek episode.
So you're drinking Romulan ale in that case.
Romulan ale. My bones, this is illegal. But we're doing Discovery right now because it's new and it's the hot thing right now. So we're pretty amped up about it. So it's been fun. So we're on episode 5. We just released our episode 5 episode just a sec, or today or the other day. I can't remember.
What are obviously don't want you to give away your show on our show, but what were your thoughts on Discovery?
I think I remember you guys were talking about Discovery when it first came out, the premiere. I think your assessment in some ways was right, that it seemed off, and we had the same feeling about it. Our worry was is that we do want to see more Star Trek.
Yes.
And we're worried that this paywall for CBS All Access is just stupid.
Yeah. I heard I can't remember what podcast I heard on. I heard a good phrase for it. They're geek baiting.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are.
Because CBS, we're not their demographic. My mother, who watches
CSI and all that schlock,
is their demographic.
Yeah.
I guess that's weird then. So they're geek baiting. I like that term. But are they hoping that the people who tune in for Trek are going to hang around for whatever crappy network programming that they have on their
You want
service?
it that bad that you would go and get. I mean, let's face it, most people get HBO for Game of Thrones.
Sure.
Maybe there's a couple other shows that you want to watch, but it's
Vice
probably
Principals.
Documentaries.
all right. But that being said, is I think they're trying to launch this platform. They realize they have a franchise that could do well.
Yeah.
This is the kick in the ass.
And this is the first Trek we've had on TV in over a decade.
Yeah, it's been 12 to 15 years
Enterprise
since
was the last.
Yeah, which was unceremoniously shut down, even though the fans actually were giving money before there was
they were
fan fun
kickstarting
sites.
before they were
my God.
kickstarted.
They literally were giving the studio money, just sending money for it to keep Enterprise, but they said, "Nah, we don't want your money." Anyways, so CBS put this up, and I think what they want to do is probably have a more robust online presence for a service, but I don't think this is going to be. I don't think it's tenable. And like I said, the kick in the ass is that everywhere besides U.S. and Canada, this show is on Netflix. So us North Americans have to pay it. Yeah, it just chaps your ass. You're just like, you bastards, you greedy bastards. So that's the thing that really gets you. So, but that being said, you were bringing out that it didn't feel like Star Trek quite a bit. It felt a little off. We agreed. We saw the first episode, and we were like, this is not going to get people to say, boop, 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 give me CBS All Access. I'll pay anything for this. It wasn't. It was good, but it wasn't that great.
Okay.
And in the world of Game of Thrones and all the other awesome TV shows out there where you have to subscribe, you better be
put your best foot forward.
Yeah, it's got to be awesome. Now, agreed, it was a visually beautiful show. I mean, it's very, very nice to see. The first 2 episodes, pretty good, not great. Third episode was amazing.
So they were holding out.
It changed my whole opinion because I was like, we're critical. Like, we get into it.
Yeah.
We definitely pick things apart. Like, well, why did that happen? Or why did this happen? Or that doesn't make any sense. So first 2 episodes, like, it's good, but not great. I don't know. And then, third one was just amazing. And each one has been pretty darn good. So
now is it still very action driven?
There's action in it, but it's not complete action.
Okay.
I think they were trying to get people's attention.
That was kind of the
and like you were,
hook
like you were saying with the JJ reboots for the movies. I think they're just trying to get kids to know the franchise because I think
I could see that. I could see
nobody watched Enterprise. Voyager actually has a strange following that people.
I liked Voyager.
I did not like Voyager, but
Voyager
I
was not
saw
my thing.
that on Netflix. It has like the highest ratings of any Star Trek show on Netflix.
I don't understand.
It doesn't make any sense.
Because
You know why?
Voyager.
Because I think because not a lot of people watched it the first time around. A lot of people watched Next Generation DS9.
Maybe that's it.
And then they're like, I never watched it. Let me give this a shot.
It doesn't really. I mean, it's not bad. It's not terrible. You don't go like, oh, this is like the
worst
garbage. But it's like there's just the stories are just like, it's not that great of a story. When you watch Star Trek, you want to be like, wow, that was a great story. You watch a Next Generation, and we're like, boy, that was. It's just like you're like walking away like, man, that was really cool how he did that, or that it's the moral dilemmas they come into, and all those were the great stories. I don't think Voyager did touch on things, but not enough. And some of the stuff the science was really crappy. They were just like, oh, it's because of science.
So Discovery, then, what's the deal? Then where is it falling? Because some of the stuff I'm reading is like it's kind of a bleak Star Trek.
It is a little more
not
bleak. It's
what we really associate with Star
strange.
Trek.
It is strange. This is where I grew up, first watching the original series, and then I went into the Next Gen when that came out, and I, followed everything, went along with it. But I do have that idea that you want, do you want to explore? You want to, a little action, but it doesn't have to be over the top.
Right,
action.
right.
And come away with a philosophy of like, yes, we should be better people for this reason or that reason.
Yeah.
Discovery obviously takes place during war. And I mean, war is not going to be fun no matter what. But there are moments where it doesn't give you the moral quandaries that, not yet at least. But I think they're connecting a lot of dots. But that's questionable too. We theorize on so much stuff because you got 50 years of canon.
Yeah.
And some of it makes sense, some of it does not make sense, so we're trying to make sense of all of it. And if it's just like, oh, they were just having fun with it. Like the Klingons don't look like Klingons.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are you going to hang on to everything from way before? I mean, Christopher Lloyd was an awesome Klingon, but is it time to change him? I don't know.
Like, yeah, I get hung up there because the Next Generation expanded on the Klingon culture
they did so
much.
Good,
that like, so you're going to throw all that out in favor of this? Like,
I don't know if they're completely throwing everything out. I think they're just revamping the look.
We had a look though.
I know.
I liked it.
I know. A lot of people did, and you're not alone. I mean,
I mean, it was iconic, really.
We're gonna some of the topic that we're going to talk about as well. The Star Trek world definitely is fighting each other. The fandom is ridiculous.
Like I feel you could have gone back to the Klingon look from the original series, polished it, made it like just find a hybrid between original series and Next Generation, because there's like the episode of Deep Space Nine that everybody's pointing to where they go back in time to Tribbles episode, and Worf says that something happened that caused the change. And
in Enterprise they explain it all.
Oh,
yeah, it was a virus.
It was a virus because of they tried to steal like the Khan Noonien Singh's augmented, super amped up super soldier thing. They were trying to inject that into the Klingons' DNA, and they got a virus, and they all are dying. And so he fused Jonathan Archer, the captain of the Enterprise, fused his his DNA, and it all made their ridges go away
for a generation, though. Right? Like, it would take generations to breed out, which is why in next generation they're back to
normal. Yeah, which
it's
makes
not the
sense.
best explanation in the world, but it's an explanation.
Meanwhile, on Discovery, we have,
it's whatever. Yeah,
sure.
Well, people also go like, well, the tech looks way too advanced, and compared to when you go to the original Cage with Christopher Pike as Captain.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm willing to let that go because, like, it's
you can't go back.
It's the 60s.
You're not going to do Batman with Adam West again. I mean, it's like,
or can we? Do
well,
that?
you could.
Not now the man is no longer with us.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, but you couldn't remake Batman in that vein.
Yeah.
Again.
Right.
I mean, you could just for fun, but there, you got the Christopher Nolan and that kind of Batman now. So, I mean, I do worry that everything's got to be dark and got to be like foreboding and stuff like that. Why can't
certainly according to Warner Brothers DC films it has to be.
I don't understand that either, and I hope this after they get out of this story arc with the war with the Klingons, it'll maybe if there's a second season, they say they've been funded for a second season, but they haven't been greenlit for a second season. So we don't know.
It's like I've always said, I want my Star Trek to be about concepts and philosophies and exploration. If I want explosions and laser fights, I've got Star Wars for that. I say that, and then ironically, my favorite Star Trek show is Deep Space Nine, which was largely about a war.
Yeah.
So,
and Sisko bent the rules quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
compared to any of the other captains, he was command. Well, he turned captain. Kirk bent things, but he never would go against if you watch Pale Moonlight, Deep Space Nine, Sisko breaks all the rules to get the Romulans to start the war with the Dominion.
Yeah.
And
that was such a great episode.
Which, like Picard, Kirk, I don't know if they would go that far.
No. But yeah, my favorite Star Trek episodes are the ones that don't even necessarily have any action. It's just concepts and execution.
Right.
Dialogue and moral quandaries and, a resolution.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it was all character based, which is also another thing I look for in Star Trek.
Right.
Yep.
So
all right. So
it's difficult because I'm hung up on that aspect as well, because those are the things I love about Star Trek, but I'm hung up that I do want to see good Star Trek, and it's got to meet today's expectations. It has to.
So there's the Synthaholics podcast, and then correct me if I get this name wrong. Numina Comics.
Yeah. That's something we got working on the pike. It's going to be a web comic we have multiple stories going on, and I'm working on a story right now. It's part of the Numina comic called The Jigsaw Men, and it's going to be a web comic, and I'm hoping to release soon on it. I've got a lot of
nice.
I got a lot of work already put. I've tried to pad it, so I've got a lot already set up. So I don't have to worry about oh my god, I got to get another page out.
I grabbed the first collection you guys had.
Okay, right. Yeah.
It was good stuff. It was really good. I enjoyed everything in it.
Yeah, so I'm going to be working on that as well with tying up everything for Snakeland. But yeah, that's my thing. And then we've multiple stories we're going to try to put out, and I'm toying around with another very short, maybe a comic, a little strip. Thing for a comic called Olympus Punk, and it's about a pirate crew that has the capability to go back in different parts of time, and they keep on going and seeing punk shows. So
wow,
and the adventures and stupidity that happen in that. So
that's cool. I can get behind that stuff.
Yeah. So they go back to the 70s and go see the Ramones. And
that's kind of neat.
Pistols. And
that's a cool idea. I like that.
But that's something else I'm working on along with everything. But that's But the Jigsaw Men is more of a it's two guys, and they're trying to find a serial killer who's a demonologist, and he's using victims to increase his magical powers, his dark magical powers. So, yeah. So awesome. and it all takes place in the Buffalo area. So
nice.
Down with that.
Yeah.
More Buffalo love.
Yeah.
I'm always down with it.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of cool comic book people creating in the Buffalo area, so I think there's a lot of cool stuff that's happening here. And I think in the next couple of years, we're going to see some real cool stuff that people are already producing, but I think we're going to see a way more, and it's going to be I think we're going to have like a renaissance of Buffalo creation of comic books.
We've got a really good geek culture feel here in Buffalo. There's a good community. We've got a couple cons that go on every year.
And we got a lot of networking. Like everybody seems to starting to know each other,
Yep.
and everyone. I mean, hopefully more people come into the fold too. So,
Which I feel is a good segue to our topic of conversation. Lucas, you're killing me.
That's the topic of conversation. Is Lucas killing us today? Yes. He is. We got to build that doggy door.
We do. That has a retina scan for Lucas.
Yeah.
Or else we'd have many, many dogs in here. Okay, so as we've mentioned previously in the show, we are all kind of from the same time and place, age-wise. I'm going to be turning 40 this year. Drew's a couple of years behind.
watch out for 41. That's when my mortality came into sharp focus.
I'm just going to sit over here in my 30s for another 5 years, guys.
Enjoy yourself.
So we can all remember a time, I think it's safe to say, before 2008, where fandom and geek culture were not nearly A, as mainstream as they were today, B, as widely accepted
Definitely.
as it is today,
Yeah.
or C, nearly as popular as it is today. And since 2008, we've been in what I've always said is like a golden age of geek. We're getting all these things we never thought we would get. We've gotten a...
Black Panther movie.
Yeah, we're getting I would even say Guardians of the Galaxy.
Dude,
being more obscure.
I know you're not crazy about it, but I've been a Aquaman fan my whole life, and it's like an Aquaman movie.
Just the fact that we're getting...
it blows my mind.
The quality of the films aside, we've had Batman fighting Superman on screen. We're
Never
going
thought
to get
that.
a Justice League movie on screen.
Kind of.
But you just never thought these things would happen.
You never
Back
thought
when
we...
if you said 1986, you were saying, "Hey, there's going to be a Justice League movie."
Yeah. You're like, sure, right.
It's going to be so stupid. I know it will be. Like there's no way it's going to be good.
And it's just
and you were still right.
like, and there's nothing now you can't get.
Yeah.
Like,
Pretty
if
much.
I want to go get... I mentioned this when we did our couple of quick questions with Kevin Smith. If I want to go get a T-shirt of Cesar Romero as the Joker with a surfboard and Bermuda shorts on, I'm betting you I can go find that someplace.
Sure.
Everything's available. The product makers and whatnot have finally realized there's might to be made in geek.
The geeks inherited the earth.
Yeah, the geek have inherited the earth.
But
As we're starting to see.
it's not without its problems.
Yes. You're a Star Trek fan, Aaron. I'm a Star Wars fan. Back in the day, sure, there would be a little debate of which one's better or whatnot, but at the end of the day, we'd share a pint and agree that both are equally valuable and good, and we enjoy both for different reasons.
Right. Yeah.
Nowadays, people are freaking out over McNugget sauce.
Yeah.
We want to talk today about how fandom is becoming toxic.
Ugh.
And just the ugliness of it is starting to rear its head. It's almost like fandom has become a competition in a lot of ways. It's not enough to discuss what you like with someone. It's almost getting to the point where there's a feeling in some fan groups that you have to prove why what you like is better and that you ultimately are right and everyone else is wrong. You and I have kind of rubbed up against this a couple times in our conversations, and that's what kind of spurred on this thought of doing this show now. The conversation we were having about Rick and Morty the other night, because you have not watched Rick and Morty.
No.
I do watch Rick and Morty. I
Yes.
love it. I think it's a great show.
This is probably the best show I've seen.
It's
in a long
funniest
time.
show on television. The reason you had said that you weren't watching it was because of all how you're seeing the fans react to like the Szechuan sauce thing and a lot of what's like they said about the female writers and whatnot. And to me, that was baffling because I couldn't connect the logic of not wanting to give a piece of art a chance because of how the people who view the art are reacting to it. And we got kind of, I wouldn't, like, it's tough to say if it was heated or not because it was all over, Facebook chat with Alan. But I got to a point where I kind of had to check myself. And I was like, it's his reason for not wanting to see it. I shouldn't take personal offense to this and be arguing it as much as I am because this is my friend and we're talking about things that ultimately aren't that important.
But I guess the big thing that is coming up here is like fandom is getting really out of control with the gatekeepers of fandom. You can't be a real fan because you don't know this or that, and especially if you're female, God forbid, you try and infiltrate a fan community. You're gonna the fake geek girl thing, which you see all the time, and I see it with cosplayers and stuff. Oh boy, fanboys love to quiz girls in costumes about do you really like that character? Or are you just dressing up? This kind of stuff drives me insane. So that's all bad, and it makes everyone look bad, and it makes us look bad. It makes me not want to be associated with the things that I happen to really enjoy. So this Rick and Morty thing might be a great show, and everybody tells me it's great. Great. Then why is it that the worst of humanity seems to love it and do stupid, terrible things and make me go like, what do these people like about this? And why would I want to throw down my lot with them to enjoy it?
Yeah.
That's my problem.
And
it might be great, but if I have to watch it and somehow be associated with that, nope. Sorry.
I always put it like in my. You're probably the same way in some ways. Is that I put it in like band terms. Like if there's the band you hate the fan base, you're like, I don't think I'm going to buy that album.
I do that all the time.
It's like those guys are weird. It's like I don't know if I want to get into that.
And not for nothing. I'm riffing. We're gonna have to steer this conversation back. But like, I have experienced the whole gatekeeper thing myself. Not so much in the geek stuff because I've always kind of been like well versed and I hold my own, but I'm very aware of the geek cred thing with in our circles. But growing up, even to this day, in the music world that I've been into, being a fan of heavy metal bands and stuff growing up, I then and now have never felt accepted or part of the heavy metal community because I always feel like there's these real metal dudes that always try to belittle me and make me sound like an idiot because I liked a certain band or I didn't like these other bands that like real metal guys liked. And I was just like, dude, I like what I like. I don't and you talking down to me
doesn't make you like it anymore.
It doesn't make me like it anymore. No, if anything, guess what? Sorry, I'm less likely to give it a chance because you made me feel like small and stupid.
Yeah.
And that continues to this day. And I'm reached a point in my life where it's just like, I like what I like, and I don't care.
You're just not going to waste your time on it. Yeah,
and
there's plenty of things to waste your time on.
I got everything in the world to waste my time on.
No, there's other things. Like if it's not that, you can find something else to do.
Absolutely. So that I have a personal stake in that. Like I've seen it in other things, and now I'm seeing it with comic books and all that. And it's like, you know what? People like what they like. Just let them like what they like, and don't get on their case about it or make them jump through hoops or take a test or something.
And people have different ways of expressing what they like. So if it is a girl dressing as a certain character, or if it is somebody making fan art and people don't think they're good or whatever, that just bonkers to think that there's people out there that's like, oh, you don't really know about that, so you don't deserve to read this comic or get into this show or. I've never felt that way with Star Trek. I've never been like, well, you've never seen the original series, so what would you know? Because some people don't like the original series because it's dated.
It's very dated.
Because we're the OGs. We're like, oh, you like Star Trek? Come on. You like Star Wars? Yeah, come on. It's safe in here. It's safe in here.
Right.
It's but the problem is now that in here is everywhere.
Yeah, the communities have grown. It used to be small pockets, and honestly, that outsider mentality did band us together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now that it's kind of everywhere, it's less. It's more inclusive, but because it's more inclusive, it's less inclusive. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that like?
I think there's because I think it's a couple things. Honestly, I think it's one. Obviously, geek culture has exploded, and everybody is getting a taste of things they like, or whatever. So the doors are open for everything. Secondly, I think because we are all connected, most people are like, yeah, I like, Star Wars. I like this, character. I like this cartoon, Rick and Morty. And they just like it, but they don't go on about it, but there are those few people who are just miserable people, and they just sit all day on their online.
It's the vocal minority.
And trolling people because they have nothing else in their life. I really think these people have empty lives. They just do not know what to do. They have no project. Like, you have multiple projects. You're always working on stuff. I know you have.
Definitely.
You have a full life.
I got a kid.
You got a kid.
I got a kid, man. I got a 1-year-old.
Those things put meaning into your life. You wake up with a purpose. And that's the thing, is like you have to have something in your life. And if you don't, if it's just all consumption of, Rick and Morty shows and, Star Wars and, whatever, World of Warcraft, you just get a little bit like you're empty.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all you have, I guess. And I don't see myself that way. I have a lot of things, but the thing is, I'm active in those things, and I try and make my own things.
Right.
And create something. I don't know.
Well, you want to create, and I know you want to create, and people are out there that are trying to do things. Now, maybe you aren't a creator, but you should have a full life no matter what. You know?
Yeah, totally.
I don't know.
I mean, you don't, even going beyond the realm of being a creator, it's just being an appreciator. Mm-hmm. Like, there's that longing for community, but what kind of member of your community are you when you go into it? Like, I started playing X-Wing back in March, and there's a great local X-Wing community here, and most of the people I've run into in that community are very open and welcoming and very willing to help out and whatnot, and a lot of that's with the local fighting game community as well. And for the longest time, when you would go to the local comic shop and pick up your books on a Wednesday, I always loved that, because it was like a kind of a pub mentality, because there was always people coming in and out of the shop. Right. You'd always stop and talk to some people and whatnot about what they're doing. But then, even years ago, I kind of noticed that it was kind of starting to, there was conversations were not so much of what do you like and what do you like. It was, oh, you shouldn't like that. This is what you should like, and this is why you should like it. And it's just, when you get into that, it's just it's like Drew, for example. We always joke around that you hate everything and things like that. Ultimately, we know it's not true, because
do we know this?
You like Nintendo and Metallica, so by definition, you do not hate everything.
Okay,
but you're not. You'll jab an innocent barb at someone for liking something, but you won't. Something I kind of pride the show on is I don't feel we've ever purposely set out to make people feel bad about what they like. We give you our perspectives on it and say why it's not our thing. Sometimes we're a little harsher on some things than we are on others. See DC Dumpster Fire. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think both of us are in a place in our lives where if you say that you love, Batman v Superman, I think it's the best superhero film ever made, we're going to be like, hey, man, that's cool. That's you. That's not us. And, we're not going to meet on common ground here, but, we're not going to make you feel bad for liking. At least I would hope we wldn't do that.
We'll have a heated discussion about this.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we'll tip a pint together, and
it's also not about maliciously attacking someone either. And like you were saying, these people that are just lonely trolls. I think they just get off on creating chaos.
Yeah, because they have discord between people.
Just to do it. Yeah. Even if they don't even have a legitimate opinion or beef with someone, they just want to cause trouble.
Right.
For the sake of it. And that kind of that's a thing in all these communities, I think, and it ties into it goes back to even South Park, and it goes now into Rick and Morty, Breaking Bad, even the shows that have characters. I'm using these shows as an example because it's on my mind, and it's kind of it's been actually I've been discussing this with a lot of people in the last week or so. Shows with characters whose actions are pretty terrible, but somehow we are attracted to them as characters. But they're not the protagonists of the show. They're not good guys. They're pretty bad people. And I think the shows that I'm talking about also present them as bad people. But the people that I'm talking about that watch these shows idolize those people and
they don't get the show.
They don't
get what the show is trying to say. That's exactly what I've been saying about like all these articles about these Rick and Morty fans. I'm like, you guys don't get the show. You like the show.
They don't realize this is a cautionary tale.
You get the cheap laughs out of the show, but you don't get the show. You don't get that. Like Rick is a horrible person.
Yeah, Rick Sanchez is a horrible person, and but you see glimmers of where he's could be good, and he does little things that are good. But most of the time, he's a complete ass, and he treats people terribly. And because he's brilliant, we give him a pass. And most people who like Rick and Morty, who are trolling people, you're not brilliant. You're not Rick Sanchez.
You're not. You don't get it. You're looking at the cover of the comic. You're not bothering to open it up and read it. You're the guy who goes into Hot Topic and buys a Punisher t-shirt, and you've never cracked a Punisher book your entire life.
Well, I mean, gatekeeping and whatnot. But no, your point. The point. That's the point, though.
Yeah.
Like, and looking at like Breaking Bad, people that like again, Walt's the good guy of this show, or people that like thought that tip of my tongue.
Jesse Pinkman,
not Jesse.
Pizza House.
Gus. People idolize Gus in that show. Like he's even worse than Walt. Like you guys, Breaking Bad people here.
I've watched it.
Okay,
never watched it.
Like these are bad people doing bad things. You're not. Sons of Anarchy fans are like this. People love that show.
Yeah, right.
I watch it. And guess what? I didn't root for anybody because everyone on that show is terrible.
It's entertaining, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
I watch it because it's entertaining, but I don't sit there and go like, this is how I want to be. This is how I want to present myself. I feel like there are circles in these communities they see it as justification. I want to be like that. Yeah, right. I should be like that. That's how it should. That's how things are. Right. It's like that on the show, so I'm going to be like that too.
Right.
No.
Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible thing. I do think there's a lot of things like that. We see the idolization of certain things. One thing I really worry about, like going back to like Star Wars, is that we saw, the prequels, 1, 2, and 3. Anakin, obviously becomes Darth Vader.
Yeah.
He's the big bad, and you took all these kids and you go, oh, look at Anakin. Isn't he awesome? He's a little Jedi. He's going to be like, no, he's a monster.
Yeah.
And he's the worst kind of monster because he didn't have justifiable reasons to become a monster. He just became just a unsufferable person. And I worry about those generations of people growing up like, oh, Anakin's like, but he became evil. So
I was talking with a friend of mine once, and this was like, it was a couple of years ago. I was like, and before Disney bought Star Wars and whatnot and everything, I said to him, isn't it strange now that the villains that we grew up knowing are now the heroes in Star Wars? Because like Clone Wars was in full swing.
Right.
And you see like, kids are stormtroopers are the heroes now to kids and whatnot. And then you kind of go back and watch the original Star Wars with the kind of the lens of perspective that we have now being older. You look at it a different way. The rebels aren't a plucky band of rebels who, are fighting for freedom. They're terrorists against the established government.
Right. I worry about that actually too. And now that we're getting into The Last Jedi, we're all over the map here. But I guess now that we're getting into The Last Jedi and like there's all this talk about the gray. I'm using that term now because that's what all the geeks are using. And then Luke trading sides or like all this other stuff. It's like, I don't need moral ambiguity in Star Wars necessarily.
I need a good guy and a bad guy.
I need a good guy and a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the original trilogy set that up pretty well.
Yeah.
Good guys, bad guys.
They're called stormtroopers after Nazis.
Right.
But also with the original trilogy, they established that good can become bad and vice versa.
Right,
So
but there was still a line, and I feel like you were saying, like it's getting muddy. Like,
Yeah.
and if we who not, I mean, I like to think the company in this room, we are not the type of people who are liking these things for the wrong reasons. We get it. I don't know that everyone else gets it, and if they don't get it, when you present them with a morally ambiguous premise, I don't know that they're going to side well.
I think a lot of it is because there's just so much more that's available now. And to like for us who've grown up in a time where, yeah, maybe there was a lot available. It wasn't always available at the same time.
Right.
And you had time to like digest it and analyze
there's no time
it
for
and
that
find
anymore,
your place
man.
and do it. Now there's just like, you don't like, you got binge it and then move on to the next
There's
thing.
shows
You gotta
I
watch
want to
this,
see
this,
it. I
this.
just have not.
Yeah, you
been
just
able,
don't have
I can't
time.
get to it. I don't have
Yeah.
time to get to it.
Like you tell me Breaking Bad is the best show it's ever been on television.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I have no reason not to believe you. There are other things that I want to watch. Like the appearance of the show, just there's something about that. Just there was never a visual hook for me.
There really isn't one. It's all
No, and I
it's
get
all
that.
character
Yeah,
and writing.
I get that. I'm not saying I'm never going to watch it, but it's unlikely that's going to happen in the foreseeable future. Only because there's so much other stuff out there that
Sure.
I'd rather devote time to. But just getting back to the toxicity of fanhood. I think a lot of it, part of what's good about fanhood now is also part of the problem that it's so much easier to find fan communities.
Yeah.
It's not just Bantha tracks anymore. It's like you can go anywhere and find a fan, air quotes, community.
Right.
And you can go in that community. If you don't like what the people are saying in there, you can like burn your bridges and move on to another community with the same likes. And I think as good as it is that there's the diversity of fan communities out there, that's also kind of contributing to
Well, we're tribal
toxicity.
Yeah,
of it
we're
as
tribal
well.
by nature. So if you don't like what I don't know, if you don't like this Star Wars community's view on something, then I'm going to go join this other one, and because they more align with me, this other one that I don't like, we're all against them.
I have an excellent illustration of this that actually happened because obviously we do the Star Trek podcast. My host, the co-host with me on Synthaholics, he when the show comes out, he posts on different groups, and there's a ton of Star Trek groups
Oh, sure.
on Facebook.
Yeah, it's one of the OG fan communities.
Yeah. So he's posting all these things, and all of a sudden he gets attacked. There's one community called like Star Trek, the original one and only, or I don't know, something like that.
Now they're drawing their line in the sand, aren't they?
So they originally, because they hated the JJ reboots.
Sure.
They thought it was just garbage. Okay, sure. But now apparently, because we were talking, because I think it was when the first the Discovery came out. We covered episode 1 and 2. We covered it and we put it on a podcast, and they were brutal with him. Like they were just off. And so what ended up happening is they kicked him out of the group, and someone flagged him so he couldn't be on Facebook for I don't know how many, like 3 weeks or 2 weeks or something like
God.
that. Yeah, and it was awful. And so now I watch that thing, and it's like they just go in there. Obviously, they post things about the original Star Trek, but then they just go into like how much they hate Discovery. And I'm like, well, then don't talk about it if you don't like it. I don't know.
Just say it's not my bag and move on.
It's so bizarre, and it's literally like you like saying it's toxic. These people are toxic people, and I've read more and more like Reddit things where people are like, "You people are ridiculous. You're so bad. It's not even funny. It's like you take the joy out of all of it."
It's like any article I read, and I'm sure you've seen it too, or YouTube for that matter. The rule of thumb I have nowadays, and I never follow it, and I should know better, but I can't look away. Never read the comments.
Oh, the comments are brutal.
Oh God, no! I never read the comments.
I sometimes I
That's
scan.
that's the rule, but I always do,
I scan
and I
'em.
always get sad.
I scan them like, and just
And
'cause it's unbelievable.
Is that all anybody wants to do anymore? Is just tear down everything?
Because if
I
you're
have this rep of
commenting,
being a
you're
hater,
part of
and-
the problem.
I guess. People call me a hater. I don't comment on news stories on the internet. I don't go on YouTube and write. I don't care. Like if I don't like it, I know I don't like it. I'm not going to waste my time getting into a diatribe on the internet with strangers to voice that. Like, I just don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I've gotten involved in flame wars, and I can't do it anymore. It's just stupid. It's ridiculous, and it's like I have better things to do with my time than argue with some stranger who's like 500 miles away. I'll never meet, and I don't care what happens with their life.
Have you seen the stick figure? I forget the name of the comic, but it's a stick figure comic strip.
Oh, the X. That
one.
XT or XY or something like that. Yeah.
And it's just like a 2-panel, and it's the one guy at the computer, and off panel there's a dialogue balloon that says, "Honey, are you coming to bed?" And he says, "No, someone is wrong on the internet."
Oh, jeez.
Exactly. It's like
that's what these people are, man.
I could spend time arguing for. I'll just use the most recent example: Battlefront 2.
Right.
The beta came out. I thought it was great. A lot of people are ticked off because of loot crates. I could spend hours on an internet forum arguing that, or I could just have fun playing Battlefront 2.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I'm just going to go have fun playing Battlefront 2. Because, folks, look at the hairline. I don't need more stress. It's in retreat as it is.
My issue is like I have seriously thought more than once to completely like just unplug myself, other than maybe once in a while going on the like I've thought about just getting a flip phone.
You're tying into it. Do you see that USA Today article about fatigue?
No, I didn't see it, but
some university did a study and said like basically. Yeah, we have so much social interaction and so much information to process at any given time, at any given day.
Yeah,
we are more fatigued on a daily basis because of all that. Like if you're sitting around like 6 o'clock in the afternoon and you're like, I'm tired. It's because of all that emotional energy and thought that you've put into all that stuff throughout the day because you're so plugged in.
I know. I don't want to get invested in it anymore. I mean, I do, and I constantly get into that trap where I get like, if we talk something about like online the Buffalo Geeks page and somebody starts getting into something really intense and you're going at it and just like, I don't know if it really matters. Like, do we really need to argue about this? Do I really care?
Right.
You know?
And more importantly, like, are you helping or hurting your cause, really? I mean, are you being a good fan?
Yeah, I know. It worries me, and what is like you said before, you found a couple friends. He's like, "Oh, I like Star Wars too," or "I like Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, let's go play." It's just that stuff like that. And it was like you found your little tribe, you hung out, and that was cool. Yep. Now you have the whole world.
Now your tribe is a nation.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous because we all knew that one person everyone hated. Stinky Pete. Like, that guy, I hate that guy. And everyone hated that guy.
He's Handsome Pete's cousin.
Yeah.
Handsome Pete dances for Nicholas.
Would I be out of line
probably
to put out the theory that did the geeks become the jocks?
We're getting there.
Like, you know what I mean? Did the geeks become the jocks?
I'm not going to say the geeks have become the jocks because we ended up pointing out to jocks that they're geeks too, just about something different. But we have
you know what I mean?
We have become a
though,
version of the aggressor like that.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean.
We're shoving our own kind into lockers right now.
Right.
And I mean, it starts with the self, in my opinion. Like, I'm trying to be much more aware of how I'm saying and what I'm saying. Like the other night when we had our whole like discussion, and then I kind of found myself like I'm getting mad at Drew over something that's not important. And then I said something to Alan about the new season of Voltron, and Alan asked you when you're going to watch Voltron. I said, piped up. He tried it. He doesn't like it. That's fine.
Yeah, I watched the first season, and it was fine.
You watched the first episode?
No, I watched several, I thought. Yeah,
no, you only watched you said you only watched the first one because you said it was an hour and a half, and that was the first.
I think I closed out that first season. I think.
Oh,
either way, I watched enough of it, and I said, you know what, it's fine. It's a good update on what it was, but it's not for me. I'm not going to carry on with it.
Yeah, and then we have to get to a point where you can be passionate about something, and someone you care about, who typically likes similar things, may not be as equally passionate about that thing, and that's okay.
Sure.
Al and I could talk about Voltron, the new Voltron,
Go berserk, man.
all the time. It's going to be great. We love it. The fact that you don't love it as much as we do should not put us in a place where we're going to be verbally aggressive or abusive towards you.
But is that the issue, or is it more of like you're saying there are certain people that try to diminish people and put down, especially female fandom, or
Well, there's that, but you know what it is. Here's the analogy. Here's what it is. Remember the Return of Optimus Prime?
Sure.
Remember the Hatred Plague?
The Hatred Plague?
They were glowing red, and he touched someone, and it's what it is.
Yeah.
Because you can start out with the purest of intentions, but like the pebble that starts the avalanche, like you start talking about it, you start getting in the conversation,
Right.
and then it just snowballs, and before you realize it, you're the toxic element in the conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think it all starts with checking yourself
Yeah.
before you try to combat someone else's toxicity.
Right. Yeah.
I've mentioned in the past my faith passage in the Bible. Don't worry about the splinter in your neighbor's eye. Worry about the plank of wood in yours. Yeah. So,
I've caught myself quite a few times, and I have to really watch how I say things and I try not to be inflammatory either. It's sometimes some people, what they say and do are just.
Yeah, they get you going.
It's just literally unbelievable. Sometimes you're like, you're borderline monster posting some of the things you say. Yeah. I get like worried, like, why are you still human? Like, is there something still there with you? That's the part I get like completely flustered. It's not just somebody go like, oh, you haven't watched Rick and Morty. What's your problem? Like, you don't really like, cartoons or sci-fi. That's stupid because nobody, okay. You don't want to watch it. Whatever,
That's fine.
I meet people who's like, I don't like Star Trek. I'm like, well, whatever, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can
you. Yeah.
I can imagine how much harder it is for you being the moderator of the Buffalo Geeks Facebook page.
I had to recently put up rules, and I didn't think I'd have to. I mean, when that first started, I thought just people. I am intrinsic, deep down. I just think everyone has good intentions, and I think a lot of people do not. And I don't understand it. It confounds me.
I'm with you. I more I feel that way every day, and it's bigger than geek culture. It's
it's everywhere.
Society.
It's everywhere.
And the things are getting kind of intertwined. To be honest with you, like bigger. I don't want to get too heavy into all this on this show, but like these trolley type people with no lives influenced our election. Okay,
I agree. I think there's a lot of things going on at play.
We put the ultimate troll in the White House.
Right, and I agree, and I think there's a lot of things that, like, you worry that because they're the loudest voices, they get the most attention, and then people like, oh, okay, so they get, and people are natural, they follow certain, like, movements or leaders, and whoever's loudest, they're like, oh, I'll follow that guy because he seems like knows what he's doing. No, they don't know what they're doing, and they were
just the loudest.
They're just a dumbass who just keeps talking and saying incredibly terrible things. And I do think, unfortunately, our current president gave a lot of people carte blanche to say and do whatever they want and feel good about it.
Like I said, bad protagonists. People missing the point.
Yeah.
And I like to just have my critical thinking on and take things in and process and act how I like. I'm sorry, but I'm going to behave a certain way, and my mode of operations is not to be a hateful, spiteful, hurtful person.
Right.
I want to be your friend and share things with you and, treat people well. And
there's people that you're going to meet. I
don't get that.
And there's people that you're going to meet that you're not going to get along with. And you have to go like, well, or you don't have anything in common with them. And you're like, well, that's just them.
That's fine.
And you just,
then I walk away.
C'est la vie,
Right.
But it's hard when you see people who are literally putting people down and just saying awful things because, you like, Teen Titans. And you like the cartoon and not the and not the actual comic book.
The new cartoon.
Yeah, and she's like, what? Who cares? It's what they like. And I constantly, especially with women in comic book and the geek fandom, is like, comic books were suffering for a long time, and I do think introducing is the female aspect, you have 50% of a population that is untapped.
Sure.
Or for the most part, and we still aren't getting the full amount of female fandom, but
right.
I think we are actually getting more and more because
totally.
we're introducing more female characters, female written books, so it's Starfire isn't showing off her breasts constantly,
But then you got the crowd, why doesn't she do that anymore? Why are they taking the Starfire away from me?
Yeah.
That's that kind of thing.
Right, exactly.
And it's like, because, man, like, get with it. Like,
yeah.
It's not the way the world works.
Yeah, it's like, and it was cool because you were young and you were 15 years old reading,
right?
Reading Teen Titans and thought like, man, I'd like to get with Starfire.
Sure,
the Marvel swimsuit special.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
We're past that, though.
Yeah, we're way past that.
And let's face it, if that's what you get off at, there's a whole world of pornography.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean,
we have the internet, folks.
Yeah, it's like
you can find it.
It's out there. So
yeah.
It's bonkers to me that people get that worked up and they don't want women in their.
And yet, those same people will pine for the illustrious, perfect woman that likes all the same things they do, and like, why can't I find a girl like this? It's like, dude, because you're a toxic, horrible person when you do encounter them.
Yeah, you can't put people down. You gotta let people grow in their own way. And like if there is somebody who likes the Teen Titans, the cartoon, just let them grow, and like maybe they will pick up the comics sooner or later, or maybe they'll get into another part of fandom. And it's just we all grow in our own organic way, and who knows what people are going to be into, so. Let people get their foothold. And if they want to dress like Harley Quinn, and there's 15 Harley Quinns at that Comic-Con, you know what? That's what they're into now. Let them grow, And I get a little bit like, another Harley Quinn.
Yeah, but you're not going to go over there and
you're sitting there with the clicker.
Them,
ass. Have you ever read any?
Right.
Like, who cares?
You're not going to do that because
that's just monstrous. I don't get it.
Well, we've diagnosed the problem. How do we treat it?
Be a better, just be cool, man.
Just be excellent.
I think we individually all have to be cool, but I think we also have to be careful, like with certain people, knowing who they are and how to deal with them. Because there's a lot of people out there we have to learn how to deal with and talk with. And I think you still have to engage with them, but you have to find a way to appeal to them in some way. I don't know. That's the hard part, because there has to be good down there somewhere. There has to be. But I think they've been warped by being around the wrong people and the wrong mindset. So
don't go into a conversation with the goal of changing someone else's opinion.
No.
Go into a conversation with the goal of sharing your opinion and hoping to gain some knowledge and wisdom back.
Right.
Serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law.
Yes, that.
Directive 4 classified.
It is. It's very classified.
All right. I think that's going to do it for us here. Great discussion. Really appreciate it. Aaron, thank you so much
for
coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Hoarder Wares.
Yes, Hoarder Wares.
Tell the
people where they can find you, where they can find your stuff in the vast world that is the internet.
So you can check me out. I'm on Twitter at Blackbird2004. Our Twitter for Synthaholics is Synthaholics Duo, and we have the Synthaholics page. You can just type in Synthaholics for any podcast. You can download that if you're interested in listening to Star Trek knowledge, Star Trek lore. We have a lot of fun. We're pretty irreverent in what we talk about. So. And, I also have the Numina Comics page, NuminaComics.com. You can go to...
How you spell that?
Numina.
Okay.
I'll be putting stuff out there. There's stuff out there now, but there will be more in the future, and I'll be promoting that as well as much as I can.
All right. Well, all right, man. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Folks, if you'd like to find us out there in Tron world, you can go to Twitter at Devils Do Pod. You can go to Facebook.com/Devils Do Pod. You can email us at thedevilsdopod@gmail.com, or you can find all these great things available to you on our website, thedevilsdopodcast.com. Drew, any last thoughts?
Just be better, people.
Be excellent to each other.
Party on, dudes. That's Truer words were never spoken, man.
All right, folks. Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it. Court is adjourned.